we'll pause there and just open it up for comments, clarifying questions, whatever you'd like. We have a small enough group that this can be very informal. Yeah, and if you could introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Janice Sullivan. I'm from Manning Community Health Center. My question has to do with any discussions or thoughts you may have had about the role of the CHNAs, which are very involved right now in the distribution of DON linkage money.
So yes, we have had lots of conversation and thought about it, and the basic goal for us is to meet those basic standards that we laid out. So ensuring robust community engagement, transparency in decision making, accountability, and community health impact. And so meeting those community engagement standards, there's going to be flexibility, we believe, in how the applicant figures out how to meet those standards. And so our assumption is that in large part there's going to have to be work that's done with community coalitions to meet those standards. And so in certain cases the CHNA system and the local CHNA might be a logical planning partner. In other cases it may not. So our assumption is that those decisions are going to be made locally. So the change there is that if the CHNA by default was the defined planning partner that would release DON dollars, in this new reformulation of DON, the idea is that the CHNA is going to have to demonstrate its value in meeting those standards that we're putting forth, and demonstrate that they're the ones that the hospital should be working with to meet those standards.
And from my understanding, the CHNA out here, the one that's, well actually there's many CHNAs out here, but they're very active in this part of the state. In other parts of the state, they're less active. And so this is just basically taking the window of opportunity for the hospitals and healthcare systems to reach out to larger groups of people or different
groups. I'm Dave Weed, Executive Director of Partners for a Healthier Community in Greater Fall River. And I think some of the things that you've both referenced in terms of backbone are important. And I'll offer Fall River as an example of some of the things that you're saying need to be done, because we've been doing them. Our CHNA currently gets a little over $200,000 on a 5-year grant. We're coming toward the end of that now. We've leveraged that $200,000 into over $10 million in various kinds of programs, structural change, environmental change that impact health in our community, and that specifically address, we have a 62-point objective. It's on our website, gfrpartners.com. We keep that in front of everybody all the time. And what we've done, rather than parcel the money out in little programs, we did that for a while, and it didn't really yield much because the programs were small, short-term, no long-term impact. What we've done is turn around and employed 4 people with our CHNA money who then go out and get things to happen in the community and do the kind of leveraging. We have one person who works full-time in the schools. She has an office there. Her website is the school website. She doesn't work for the school, but that's an example of somebody working from the inside of those kinds of institutions that's begun to make transformation. We're now adding our 4th walk-to-school program every day in the school system, okay? That's taken 6 years to get there, okay? It doesn't happen overnight. We work very closely with Mass in Motion in some of the projects there. We're one of the 4 1422 projects, but we've leveraged that with the construction of a major new bike path and park in the center of the poorest area of our city. Come down and see it, the Quickshan River Rail Trail. But that's combined closely with the work we're doing with grocery stores, with all the institutions along that corridor in the middle of the city, to get them to apply their current and ongoing resources toward the goals and objectives that we've outlined in our project. we're not there yet, and believe me, there are, you know, a lot of difficulties. But the bottom line is that I think these funds, if appropriately applied, can help any community begin to shape the current resources. There are lots of resources. You look at communities. There's tremendous dollars going into all of our communities. But the question is, how do you get them moving in concert with the goals and objectives that public health has? And it's not quick, it's not easy, but it can be done. And I'd be happy to give you examples of all this. Go on our website, this will be on it. You can see examples, and we consider health from a very broad point of view. So I was at an employment job fair yesterday at Government Center, and talking to the people there who are working with the Bristol County WIB and getting people employed, and I said, this is one of the most important health programs going. I said that to them 10 years ago. They're now telling me that, okay? Because they understand the relationship between employment and health. So that transformational process in a community it takes a long time, persistence, participation, going to their table, not expecting them to come to ours, and over time making those transformations. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation awarded us 3 years ago with one of the first 6 Culture of Health prizes. But they did that because they walked into the room and said, I can't tell the difference between somebody working for an organization and somebody working for healthcare. You're all on the same page here. And that's exactly the kind of place that we want to be. But to my question, which is, we've been able to do that because of backbone organization support. And if we end up with a DON process that says, you have to direct this to this particular problem or this particular project, the kind of work we've been doing will disappear. We depend on the resources that come through DON to support an ongoing backbone organization that then works to leverage all these other resources over time. And I understand not every Chana has been doing that, and many can't because they don't have those resources. But if we see a transformation in the use of DON funds to the point that we lose the capacity to have a single ongoing organization that looks at these issues over and over and over again and brings people into the process, then I don't think it'll ever happen. So I'll make those comments in writing to you and make sure that those get considered. Thank you.
And so we have received similar comments and questions. And so one of the questions that in the packet of discussion questions, we're not going to actually get to going through all those discussion questions today, but one of the questions is, should DON resources go broadly towards infrastructure support? And we can be thinking about it in a couple of different ways. You can be thinking about that in terms of actual administration related to, say, issuing RFPs or going towards community engagement, facilitation, those types of issues. And it could broadly be going towards a backbone organization, an organization separate from the hospital. Maybe in any given context, maybe it is the hospital that should be the backbone organization to actually conduct and coordinate a broad-based and ongoing community health improvement planning process like David talked about. So it's a question. And I don't think that DPH necessarily has a feeling that we have to go in either direction. So we want to make sure that we have comments from folks to understand whether or not you think those are good use of DON resources. The goal, one of the goals, I'll say explicitly if it hasn't shined through, is that we want to see high leveraged initiatives and strategies that impact the social determinants of health happen consistently across the Commonwealth. We want to be able to tell the story of DON in a 10-year period of time, say, in a way that we simply can't tell that story right now because of the good work that Dave is doing and that money has been leveraged. That hasn't necessarily been the case in other areas where there has been money given to organizations to be that backbone and to do grants we know that model itself isn't necessarily the only way for it to be successful. It's obviously a way to be successful. So we want to make sure that we can reach our goal of trying to demonstrate some broad community health impact in the Commonwealth on these social determinants of health, on these health priorities with these DON dollars. So if that means investing in backbone organizations to get us to that point, I think we're flexible to say that seems like a good idea. If it means that just through the process of developing needs assessments and targeting specific issues and then making strong targeted investments outside of that type of a process David's describing, then we're also open to thinking about that.
And again, you mentioned this earlier, but if you look at scans of community health improvement planning processes throughout the United States, the infrastructure dollars really vary. So if you can give us a scale of what you're talking about, if you're looking at the pie and you're saying another piece of the pie needs to be infrastructure dollars for community engagement or for the process itself, let us know what that percentage is, because frankly, we're shooting in the dark on that. So it would be great to have input.
So unless there are any other further clarifying questions, so there's the discussion questions that were on the table out there. What we could do, if people signed in and put their emails, we could send you that as a Word document, fillable form, and I think it's a pretty easy way to provide some comments. I would say that all of your questions were very similar questions that came up in other settings, so they basically, I think, are in that form, so it might be a really easy way to provide us some comments. And then, of course, anything that doesn't exist there, written comments to us, sent to the donchi@state.ma.gov